are you sure you want to do pediatrics? And I would tell them, yes. I was able to get a few volunteering positions too at the dental school at my university, where I helped with tools, instruments, and I got to see doctors treat children.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Education Learning Center podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Rivers. I am EE today. What is EE? I am elated and excited to have Andrea Gonzalez on our show today. Andrea is a junior pre-dental major at the University of Michigan. Go Wolverines, huh?
Yes.
Andrea, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Super excited. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm so excited to talk and get this show started.
Well, thank you for coming on our show today. Andrea, for the audience get to know you a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself and your future career goals.
I would love to talk about myself. So as you guys have already heard, my name is Andrea. I attend the University of Michigan on the pre-dental route. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, lived in Detroit the first 6 years of my life, but moved to the suburbs, grew up in there, graduated high school. I actually did marching band in high school. I was such a huge music fan. I played marching band all my high school career. I was in marching band, and I got to the University of Michigan. This was one of my dreams. It was my dream school, so I'm super excited to be able to get to study there. I worked so hard in my high school to get there, and I always knew I wanted to enter the dental field. So I came into the University of Michigan already wanting to pursue pre-dental classes. So right now I'm about to enter my third year. I'm taking the DAT next summer and hoping to apply that same cycle. In the future, I want to open up my own dental practice that specializes in helping minorities in underrepresented cities, because I am super passionate about people being able to get access to healthcare, dental care, oral treatment. So I really want to open up my practice and really help people that really need affordable healthcare. So that's one of my career goals. So aside of that, I'm passionate about helping students get access to higher education. I love mentoring students. This summer, I had the privilege of serving as an academic peer mentor advisor. So I helped students develop like their 4-year plan for undergrad. And I love teaching. I love mentoring students. I also do ESL. So I'm a tutor for immigrants who are from Latin America, and I teach them English. Sometimes even I am practicing my English along with them. Yeah, but I truly love it. I'm so excited to talk more about that.
That is fantastic. I tell you what, I shut the books. You done told us a lot already. So have you always wanted to get in dental when you was little, Andrea? Is that something you always had a passion for?
Yes, I just loved it.
So did you play doctor? You know, like when we were young, we had to play doctor or fireman or policeman. Did you play, do you have dolls, or did you play with your fellow neighbors or kids or cousins or relatives, and you played the doctor and they played the patient and all that stuff that we do mainly when we were young kids?
Yes, I always did that. I did that with my neighbors, with my dad too. There were times where like my dad would be watching soccer and he would be so distracted with his soccer game, and I'd come up to him and just I would put Band-Aids around him that I made out of paper, and my dad would wake up and be like, "What's on me?" I'm like, "You're my patient. You can't get up." And my dad's like, "Okay, let me go get a glass of water." I'm like, "No, you're right now." I would tell him, "You're recovering right now." I would tell him, "You have to let the anesthesia kick in." Supposedly, I would.
Oh my goodness!
The things to take medicine from my mom's cabin, and I would put water in them and be like, "Here, drink this." I would also play with the kids who grew up in my neighborhood. So we would just be casually playing, and then I would run into my house and I would put gloves on and I would make them open their mouth, and I would start touching every teeth with my gloves on. Of course, I knew about the importance of hygiene and like not being able to put anything in your mouth at that time. So I took precaution with these children. Sometimes I would even try to fix my own teeth if I ever felt like I had.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I would go into the mirror and I would look and be like, which tooth is bothering you? And I would look in the mirror like it's my back tooth, and I would move it all the time. Sometimes I even pulled my own tooth before they were ready because yeah. So I always knew that this was the field I wanted to be in.
And what did your parents say about that? They probably like the enthusiasm that you had to be a dentist, but Andrea, do not do your own. Did they say something like that? Or, oh my goodness.
Yeah, my mom would tell me, okay, when we go see the dentist, we're gonna see all the damage that you did to your teeth. Yeah.
And so have your parents been very supportive of your decision to become a dentist?
They have. My parents are actually immigrants from Mexico, so they came here like with hopes that their children would be able to get access to education because in their village they didn't have school. I think my mom was only able to make it to third grade. My dad as well, because they grew up in the villages of Mexico where there's hardly people, there's hardly school, there's hardly education, there's hardly teachers. So when they immigrated here, they always knew that they wanted their children to get to have access to college. I remember telling my dad that I wanted to be a dentist and my mom a dentist too. And my mom, they would tell me like, it's hard. I think they would get intimidated because obviously they weren't able to get to be educated. So they kind of did not know how the system worked here. And my mom was like, oh, and you have to declare right away. And I would have to explain to them again how college works in America. Because in Mexico, you don't do the 4 years of bachelor's. If you want to get a Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, you go just straight into dental school, straight into medical
Oh my
school.
goodness. Okay, wow, that is different. Wow.
It is different. But when I told them, they were super supportive for anything. If I would be in a Zoom call right now, if I had a Zoom call or anything, my dad would be like my alarm. He would be like, "Don't forget, you have a call at you have a call." Sometimes they would be working and they would text me, "Hey, Andrea, did you join your class?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm in class. I'm in school already. Yes, I'm doing homework." They have been till this day my main supports. I remember one time I was reading a book about biology and I got distracted and my dad comes to me and he throws the book at me. He goes, "Go educate yourself." No, you don't be distracted. So I had to go back to sit down on the couch to read my books every time I wanted to. If I ever went to the store with my dad and if I wanted to buy anything that wasn't necessary, my dad would tell me the importance of to not waste money on unnecessary things. But if I asked him for a book, I wouldn't have to ask him twice. They were always supportive about school. Till this day, they really are supportive.
So yeah, that book, they would definitely give you a book. I tell you, that is fantastic. Now, saying that is that my parents, they were very educated. They were very fortunate, especially even when coming up in Jim Crow area, where a lot of African Americans were separated from white Americans while going to school and education. And so they stressed education a lot. My mom was a English teacher and English literature, and my dad was a music teacher. Also had his own band. So we grew up with music too, Andrea. I have a musical family, believe me. In fact, we had to play an instrument. So I have three other brothers, you know. My oldest brother played the trombone. My middle brother played the trumpet. I played the sax. My younger brother sung and played the piano. So music was definitely part of our family. And so that was very much stressed in our family. Now, as far as reading is concerned, I told you my mom is an English teacher. And she could not get me to read worth anything. You know, I only read what's required, right? But when I started this business last year, I started reading. I read like 5 books in 3 months. I know her and my father are rolling over in their grave now saying, "Oh, now he reads. Now we gone up here to heaven. Now he reads. Oh, thank you, Mitchell." And said, "I don't know what to get you to read, but now you're reading." And so that is great when you have support to your parents, you know, there for you and want you to do that. So you said something about as far as a particular area of dentistry. Did you say, was it general or was it pediatrics that you want to go into in particular?
Yeah, I came into college wanting to do general, but then I was able to get to have a research position at the University of Michigan where I'm investigating oral cancer cells on non-female smokers. And being there when there were moments where I had to pick up the tumors that we were going to study that week or for that project. And I remember going to the hospital and I would receive them from oral maxillofacial surgeons. Ooh. And they would talk to me. And right now they're kind of getting me into that specialty. I do love working with children, however. So I knew even like the second year of undergrad that I want to specialize in pediatrics. Even when I would shadow dentists and they would ask me, "Are you sure you want to do pediatrics?" And I would tell them, yes. I was able to get a few volunteering positions too at the dental school at my university, where I helped with tools, instruments, and I got to see doctors treat children. And I can totally tell that I feel like treating that definitely working with children is harder than adults. And even seeing how, you know, they're screaming all day. They want to fight the doctors. They want to fight you. Sometimes I would have to help the doctors with the patients first. Like I would have to take like their temperature or have test information, and they would threaten me, telling me that they were not going to tell me.
Yes.
And like watching that, it makes me still realize how much I still want to do that specialty. I know that it takes a few more schoolings, but it's still really worth it. I still want to work with children. So I'm right now, I would say I'm in like between pediatrics and also doing oral surgery.
Well, dentistry, if I had to be honest with you, Andrea, in America is probably the least. They say, who do you want to go to as law as profession, right? As far as I don't want to go to the dentist, right? It's like, do you want to do public speaking? Do you want to run around and be able to naked? Or do you want to do public speaking or speaking for the crowd? Or do you want to run to a brick wall? They would choose all those before going to the dentist. That is not the favorite, but that's what we need the most, right? We do need that oral care because when other doctors tell me oral care is very important and can lead to other things that can happen in your body if you don't take care of oral care. And so you really need that. And it is vital in certain communities. They need to take care of their oral care. I think you would agree that if we do more with preventive care, then that would help out as far as aftercare. That means that clear up a lot of, I would say, things that come up within your mouth. You're talking about cancer and other things come up if you take care of preventive care. Is preventive care really stressed in the dental community these days?
Yes, it is. I'm hoping that in the future we have more advocacy for this. And all that you said is completely true because if we look right into it, our mouth has so many veins that all connect to our body, and so oral hygiene is super important. We right now my school right now has just founded a club which is called Cohab because the mission of it is to go to under-resourced communities that a lot of which don't have like insurance or can't really see doctors, and we're hoping right now to be able to come to these communities and educate them on the importance of oral hygiene and how to prevent all these diseases and cavities and how to reduce the risk of being diagnosed with something greater from not taking care of your teeth and not brushing daily, when we have to emphasize the importance of why you have to brush your teeth at least twice a day and why flossing is important as well.
Yeah, I hear about that flossing all the time from my dentist. Mitch, you need to floss more. You need to floss more. I know. I really think that we need to take dental oral hygiene more seriously these days because it's easy for everybody to talk about health insurance, but whenever I go to get health insurance, even when I'm a veterans, or, as far as oral health is concerned, it's not there. It's like, well, I had to get my own private oral health. You know what I'm saying? Even when you try to get, I was in healthcare and I have my healthcare license. So even when I'm enrolling, dentistry or the oral hygiene is separate, right? And I don't know why it's separate. It should be included in there because that's part of your whole health. And I hope if you work for an advocacy group that they include like, hey, let's get this part of the healthcare system more impactful. As far as being part of healthcare, I feel like it's to the side too much. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, okay, now you get dental and vision separate, right? Instead of including it all in your package, now you got to get that separate, which is going to be a separate cost. So a lot of people say, well, it's already expensive these days for healthcare. So then if I get dental and vision, which both need to be done also, because that's part of your body, then that's an extra cost. So unfortunately, a lot of patients, or a lot of people in our society will say, hey, I can't do that. It's like people trying to pay for medicine and pay for food. There's a choice. You have to get food. And so they don't take the medicine they need to take. And then they have more problems down the road. I hope that your group do that. Do you see that correlation between trying to get dental health care and even vision more inclusive in the healthcare system and not being a part of it? You know what I'm saying? Like the side piece in a sense.
Yes, completely agree 100%. I really feel like it's a necessity to be able to get access to dental care, to be able to have access to your cleanings. And I really wish that this could be included in like every insurance plan. I'm hoping that that in a few years or hopefully soon this changes and that everyone's able to get access to it, because I do believe that this is something universal that we need.
And Andrea, I see how serious you are. You do all your dental stuff and this and that, but what does Andrea do for fun? What are your hobbies, Andrea? What do you do to relax or relieve stress over your daily schoolwork and other things that you do in your life?
Yes, for fun, I love volunteering, and I'm such a huge family-oriented person. So for fun, I really loved hanging out with my siblings, hanging out with my parents. Truly, my parents and I are like best friends. I always joke. I always tell my friends, and so for fun, I really enjoy volunteering, and I also love to bake, like for fun.
Oh man.
Yes, growing up, my mom would be making handmade tortillas because they're super common in our
All
culture, and she would have like the dough ready, and I would always sneak behind her and like steal some away from her. My mom would be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, "No, no, I want to make them too." I love baking during the pandemic. I think
oh
that's when
yeah.
I learned the most. So I really love to do that. And as mentioned, for volunteer, I love whether it's volunteering at local organizations, and at my university I do a lot of volunteering. I am part of the student Latinx organization that's called La Casa, and so we host meetings every week, and I volunteer with not just the logistics of it, but coming to the events. I love interacting with people, and that's all. I think those are like my hobbies, one of my top hobbies. How about you, Mitchell?
Well, I tell you what, Andrea, I love eating. And so
Oh
eating is
yes,
on top of my list. So whenever you want to bake something, you want to ship something, send it to me. I would definitely eat it, okay? I
I
love
totally
food.
will.
I am a foodie, okay? I am foodie. I'm learning to enjoy reading. I do like to read. I thought read a book. I'm always a creature of book I read. So I'm learning to enjoy reading. I love sports. I love entertainment, movies. I'm a bit movie and TV buff. And I think that peeled off to my son, my oldest son, who got a associate degree in screenwriting and video production. And so I think that hobby that we have together is one thing that we share as father and son. In fact, both my sons, we go to movies. In fact, they want to see the movie coming up with Denzel Washington, Equalizer 3. They say, well, Daddy, we got to go see that together, because when they were little, I would take them to the movies. And before we had a little contest, like, who don't eat their popcorn or their little snack before the trailer start? And so once it starts, we put the thumbs up. Yes, yes. And it's so great we have kids. Yes, yes. But even now, whenever they need to do something, I'll support them because they're a little older. I'm not going to say how much on the podcast. I think I might have said it before, but we would do the yes sign. So I hope they remember the daddy do the yes sign. But that's what I enjoy doing. But I'll tell you what. Now, let me ask you one more question before we made in this podcast is that were there adjustment going to a bit school? Like, I don't care what high school you're going to. Going to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor is huge. So were there a big adjustment either academically or socially?
That was a huge one. I grew up in the small suburbs where even my class had 300 students, and so I was just used to seeing like 300 students daily. But once I got to the University of Michigan, I go, wow! I told myself I am lost. I got lost on the first day of class too. I couldn't find my dorm. I remember even like getting lost looking for buildings, and I didn't even know that we had two campuses at this university. So we have a central campus and a north campus. I was hitting my steps daily. I was running at least 3 miles every day. Academically as well. I think here at high school, it was like I had like this routine where I can come to class, soak in all that I learned, come home, do homework, study, and I was guaranteed an A on any of my exams as long as I put in the effort. When I got to Michigan, I realized, well, this is not the only thing I must do to get an A. I must go to office hours. I must say a prayer daily. I'm studying. So I have to get outside resources. I didn't realize that as well. And I didn't even, it didn't hit me then. I was like, well, obviously if I'm at the number one university in the state, that's because it has really good reputation. That's because their classes are challenging. I realized that as well. So socially, I liked it. Academically, it was a bit of a challenge. Luckily, there's a lot of support systems there at the University of Michigan. You find your community, and it is a good thing about having a big campus that you find community wherever you go. Academically, I realized that I had to put in more hours than I usually did in high school. I remember even in organic chemistry, there came a moment where I called my mom and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be a doctor anymore. But even then, I knew I had to continue to stick through it. I didn't realize too that even like for writing papers, I was like in high school, I thought writing 5 pages was a lot, and coming here to U of M, I realized that it was a normal thing to write more than 6 pages. there's some classes where like even your final for that class is like writing 50 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are like writing 20 pages. And I'm like, wow, I took for granted when my teacher in high school would assign me like 1 or 2 chapters to read. Here at college, I had to read a chapter daily. So by the week, I have to read at least 5 chapters. That was a huge adjustment, I think. But overall, college does teach you a lot about how to be responsible, self-discipline. And I really like it socially. I loved the college life, like going to football games, and I actually met my best friend group like that to the University of Michigan, because it's a big university that you try to make the best out of it regardless.
Yeah.
So one time at the dining hall, my best friend and I were eating lunch, and we just wanted to use each other for entertainment that day, I guess. But we were challenging each other to just do stuff that day. And then I challenged her. I said, you see those guys over there, Amelia? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, go up to them and invite them to go get boba. And she goes, okay. She gets up confidently. I'm thinking she's not going to do it. And she goes up to him. He's like, hi, my friend Andrea and I want to know, would you guys like to go get boba with us this Friday? And they're like, why is this stranger asking us to go get boba with them on Friday? And they say, okay, they told us that they felt bad saying no, so they said yeah. It was one friend with his 2 roommates, and that Friday, out of this random there, we go get bubble tea, and then we become best friends that day. And like till this day, we still keep in touch, because you make friends regardless. It's a really great place, socially, and even academically.
That is fantastic. And that's another thing. See, you went outside the box. You and your friend went outside the box. And a lot of times, professors, you're going to have to go outside the box there. And that is great. That is a great story. I tell you what. Before we end this podcast, any advice you have for incoming freshmen that may be coming in this year? Like, oh my goodness, they're going to see overwhelming like you did. Where's the campus at? You can tell people new, right? They be looking up their head and where we're going and lost and everything else. Any advice that you have for incoming freshmen this year?
Yes, a lot of advice actually. Well, we'll start off with, it's okay to come in feeling lost. You're going to find your way there, and you're meant to be wherever university that you're at, you're meant to be there, and make the best out of it. Like, stay on top of your work, look for resources, do not be afraid to ask for help, but also make memories, because I can say this as someone who's already entering in my 3rd year. I'm like, wow, that went by so quickly, and you only get 4 years of it. So go in, make friends, go out, have fun, explore, and try new things. And also don't be scared to take challenges. Don't be scared to interview for that internship, interview for that position. If there's a job on campus that you want, do not be afraid to apply. I know going through imposter syndrome can happen so much, especially as a freshman, but do not let that get to you. Like, you're meant to be there. You're qualified for that position. And if you get any rejections are not a bad thing. If anything, they're a way to help you learn and to grow. And my dad always tells this quote that says, "What's meant to be, it's gonna be." So you will find, if you get a rejection right now, that means because there's a better position waiting for you.
Oh.
So make the rest all the best that you can out of it. Volunteer, get community. Do not be afraid to come out of your comfort zone. I do advise that.
Well, I tell you what, that is some helpful nuggets that the freshmen coming in can get. I tell you what, it has been a pleasure having you on our podcast today, Andrea. I have enjoyed it and learned a lot. I really have, and can relate to you in many ways there. I went to a small town to a big city, and although I went to community college, I was lost because I'm in this big old city, and I'm trying to find a job because I'm in the community college. I'm getting lost everywhere. There wasn't no GPS back then, okay? And so I lost 2 or 3 jobs, but I couldn't even find a place. So that adjustment as well. I tell you what. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today, Andreas. It's been a pleasure. And come back and see us again. I definitely want to have you on our show again, okay?
Oh, thank you so much, Mitchell. I would love to come back as well.
And I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for joining me, Mitchell Rivers, on the Career Education Learners in the Podcast, where we make your career dreams a reality. God bless.